Alright, let's try this again. What is happening, mediocre people of YouTube? I'd actually already started this video, and then I had packages to ship out, so I was gonna go to the post office, but I flagged down the mailman. I was able to give it to him, so that was cool. Like, you really need to know that, right? Anyway, I was talking with Scott over the holiday. Again, we all know who I'm talking about, right? We don't need to say his last name. He's like Cher, Scott Grove. You know? So we were talking over the holiday, and we revisited the subject of, and I think this is really important, and it's not talked about enough. We revisited the topic of how, you know, for anyone that's been playing for a while, you know, you catch the music bug and it stays with you your entire life, you know. Your guitar really becomes your best friend. And even for new people that are just starting out playing guitar, you may have found out rather quickly that, you know, your guitar becomes a fast friend and a forever friend, you know, a best friend. And I don't think that's talked about enough, because I think that is really a huge part of, learn to drive, asshole, a huge part of, you know, what we do, playing music, and the different times we go through, whether it's, you know, you're trying to learn something or you're trying to write something, and, you know, a huge part of it is the fact that, you know, that guitar becomes a best friend to you. It's certainly a constant in life. You know, there's been times in my life where I was, you know, I felt extremely alone, and I was alone or whatever. I was going through rough times, and yet my guitar was always there, right? There it was, ready for me. And usually those were the times where I picked it up the most, and or not so much picked it up the most, but I came up with the coolest stuff, and I wrote some of the stuff I'm most proud of, you know. There's also been times in my life where I've been surrounded by all kinds of people. I didn't feel alone at all. I was surrounded by people, all kinds of people who love me, but the only thing that would I really wanted to do was play my guitar, you know. So it really does become a best friend of yours. I remember, you know, when you have a parent pass, it's usually a big deal. So when my father passed, I need a guitar. That was the first thing I thought of within less than 24 hours. All I wanted to do was play my guitar, you know, and submerge myself in music. So, you know, not only, it's not just guitar, I'm sure it's for other instruments, you know, or whatever. It really becomes like a best friend to you, whatever instrument you play. You know, it's always a constant in your life. And I think that's pretty cool, and I think that it's not talked about enough. Trying to stick with this. This is, you know, cigarettes are a terrible, terrible habit, and there is a huge habit that comes with it. You don't even really want the cigarette. It becomes a part of your life, you know. Another best friend that one of those. It's not really a best friend. It's a person, like cigarettes become like a person you can't get out of your fucking life. You know, you just want them to go away. No matter how much money you pay them, they won't go away. And it's weird because they become a part of who you are. God, man, these people really get nuts, man. Driving down this road. Becomes a part of who you are, you know. You jump in the car, you fire one up. You do this, you fire one up. You do that, you fire one up. So I figure I either do one or the other. You know, I'm not going to do both. But it's a big change trying to switch over to this. But it's just as satisfying, for sure. you don't need as much, that's for sure. A couple of puffs and you're good. There's sometimes, you know, hit it a bunch of times, but seems that like you don't need much. Anyway, you know, music in general has become a best friend to me. Songwriting, you know, like they say, you got to be in pain to write songs. Well, sort of. I mean, I've written songs in good times and bad times. Unfortunately, it seems like the coolest stuff comes out of the most horrible times of your life, you know. Why that is, I don't know, you know, but creativity just seems to come out when you're going through, when you got the blues, right? That's why there's a whole industry devoted to strictly for blues, you know, because man, when you're hurting for whatever reason, it seems like your mind expands. And maybe it's just because, you know what, you just don't want to focus on what's going on in your life. You'd rather focus on making music, and maybe that's why you become so creative during the bad times in life. But there's also, you know, there's times in life where you feel so great that you want to write music too, you know, like if you're fall in love or whatever, you know, you can just come up with these lyrics or come up with these riffs and like it's nothing, you know. And then there's other times where, God, you couldn't come up with something to save your life. I was just recently going through a time where actually even currently going through a time where it just seems like no matter what I play, it's not, I need something, you know, to set me free, you know. I need something. Like I pick up my guitar and it's like I feel like I'm just playing the same shit over and over. So I actually started messing around with some Eddie Van Halen stuff, which I never really did. I never really got into Eddie Van Halen. I love Eddie Van Halen, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I never really got into playing Van Halen stuff. I just didn't. Why that is, I have no idea. I never really listened. I don't think up until recently, I think I owned Van Halen 1 on cassette tape, but other than that, I've never, up until recently, I never purchased a Van Halen CD. And yes, I still purchase CDs. I like to have my hard copy. And I just purchased Van Halen Best of Both Worlds CD, which is a great CD. Double disc. Double disc CD. So I've been messing around with that to try to kind of expand things for me a little bit, which has been cool. But I finally decided that I want to run the Randy Rhoads tribute solo. You know, I know that solo. I can run my version of it, and I will still run my version of it, but I want to get it as close to Randy as I can, without being exactly note for note for Randy. There's Carl Brown did it, does the lesson of the live Suicide Solution solo on his channel. He does it note for note. No one has done that solo note for note the way he has. No one. Mike Gross took a shot at it a few years ago, and he did a really good job on it. He did some parts differently than Carl, but he did a really good job on that solo, but it was not note for note like Carl Brown. Carl Brown ran the whole solo note for note and then teaches you the entire solo note for note. So if you're kind of looking for that, go check his channel out if you want to get into, you know, seeing what that solo is all about. I strongly suggest you go check out his channel, because it's note for note. It's amazing. It's incredible what he did there. And what I like about that solo, and the reason I go back to his video so frequently, is not so much because I wanted to run the entire solo. Up until recently, I've decided I want to learn to run the entire solo one time, you know. So that's my goal right now, is to do that. But what I would do is I take pieces of that solo and I use them as exercises. There's lots of Randy's stuff is very fluid. I was just going by Guitar Center's dumpster. It's empty though. I don't know. Maybe it isn't. You know, it might not be empty. There could be a fucking amplifier in there again. I think maybe they empty it on Fridays. And today's Saturday, so let's go check it out. Who knows? Maybe there's a friggin' JCM 800 in there. Let me go look real quick. Nope, just some foam this time. Which foam is cool if you need foam. I'm set on foam right now, but it was like the kind of foam that you would use to put behind your pickups and whatnot. There's a big old thing of it in there, but and some shipping boxes. There's always shipping boxes. Anyway, so what I would do is I would go back to that solo. You know, Randy's, everything he does is very fluid, and there's many little excerpts you can take from that solo and use them as exercises to help increase your dexterity, which I'm always interested in, is increasing my dexterity going down the fretboard. I knock on foam and steering wheels and plastic and whatever this car is made out of. I have not experienced arthritis in my hands. Thank God, because I know some people get arthritis in their hands really badly. In my family, there's not too many in my family that have arthritis in the hands, so hopefully I won't get it. But that's why I'm always exercising my hands, and I you know, dexterity is a big thing to me. So, you know, try that stuff. Take a little piece of the solo and use it as an exercise, and it really, that stuff really does help going over and over. But anyway, I'm about, I would say I'm about a quarter of the way through running that entire solo right now. Maybe not even quite a quarter of the way, because I'm really trying to get it close. I want it to be my version of that solo, but at the same time I want it to be, you know, pretty close. But, you know, I've never set out to mimic another guitar player note for note. You know, that's never been my thing. In fact, I never wanted to play cover songs, you know. I just didn't. You have to, you know. And sometimes it's fun, but I guess, you know, it's actually more fun for me now to play cover songs than it was back then. Because back then I was just not having it. I just thought, you know, if you're playing cover songs, you're a joke. But that's just not the way it works. You know, if you want to be in a working band, it doesn't work that way. You got to play covers, which is cool. But anyway, yeah, I never set out to sound like any one particular guitar player or try to play like one particular guitar player. Note for note, that was never my thing, never has been my thing. I think it's great that, you know, there's a lot of you guys out there that do that stuff, because what's great about that is when I need to get a certain tone for, maybe I'm playing a cover song of whoever, and I can go on YouTube, and you guys that are out there, that you guys will actually dial those tones into your amplifier and teach us how to dial those tones in. That works out great for me. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, it was never my thing to sound like or be like any one guitar player, because I think, you know, there's so many incredible players, and for me the influence is obviously Randy Rhoads, Jakey Lee, Zakk Wylde to an extent. Zakk is certainly his own player. You know, I have voiced my personal opinion before in saying that I think that Zakk is probably the least talented Ozzy guitar player, but at the same time, you know, Ozzy's other guitar players, there's not one guy that's anything like him. So he definitely has his own thing. But anyway, whatever. I don't really want to get into that. But I guess what I'm getting into, and all of it really leads back to how these 12 notes and these instruments become such a huge part of our lives, you know. There were times when I didn't play the guitar for a year. You know, it laid under the bed in a case for a year. You know, there's been times where I play every day, and right now I play just about every day. I pick it up and fiddle around with it. Right now, like today, I'm gonna be running the Randy solo, so for the next several days I'm gonna be working on that and working that up. So that'll be cool. But there's been times in my life where I played every day. There's been times in my life where I didn't play for a year, you know. There's been times in my life where it was on and off, you know. I'd play and then maybe I didn't play for a couple of months. But no matter what, whether I hit some really great point in my life, or maybe I came into some money, some extra money as they say, which doesn't really exist. The first thing I thought about going out and buying was a new guitar. You know, if I came to a point in my life where it was horrible, things were going completely wrong, there was my guitar, ready and waiting, and it's always been a constant in my life. Now, I still own my first good electric guitar. I still own it. It needs paint. And I'm probably gonna retrofit a Floyd onto that. Maybe, we'll see. It is going to be going to my friend and yours, Eric C's, eventually. It won't be for a while. Eric's really busy. He's actually really busy with one of my other guitars right now. Plus he has other people waiting, but we've already discussed that, you know, I want it painted. Basically, I want it put back to stock, the paint job. When I was like 19 years old, I stripped that guitar down to bare wood, and it sat like that for probably 20 years. It hung like that. Then at some point, I hit it with a rattle can and made it look stupid. And really, all I want is for it to look like it did when I got it. And it's an offset V like Randy Rhoads, and it was what they call Ferrari red, which was several. It was like the color of my Kramer, with my original Kramer with the Floyd. It was like that color, but and it had the Randy striping, but it was silver striping. And that guitar actually had a really unique bridge too. Not a very good one, but a very unique design to it. But it was actually a 2-point, but it was a 2-point bridge, not like you've seen before. And it actually had a locking nut on it too, but it was like set up the headstock a little bit more like you would see like on a Kahler. But anyway, we may end up throwing a Floyd in there, throwing one of those Schaller Floyds in there. We'll see how it goes. But you know, again, you know, all this stuff leads back to, you know, everything. No matter what's going on in my life, my guitar has always been there. And you know, moving, you know, that was one of the most important things about moving somewhere was, I gotta move my stuff, my guitars and my cabs and my heads and my amps and my PA system and all that, you know. It was like, that's always a big part of moving somewhere. So I would love to hear you guys talk about this. I'd really love to hear from, you know, for you guys to make your own video about this, and talk about this subject, because I think it's a really overlooked topic of conversation, and I think it's a topic of conversation that every one of us who caught the music bug can totally relate to 100%. So I'd really like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. So make a video, or if you're not going to make a video, you know, leave me a comment and tell me about, you know, how your guitar has become your best friend, or how it has always been the one constant in life. I think it's be really cool to hear from different people on this topic. Until next time, peace out.